When we say Muslim Brotherhood, because the Muslim Brotherhood got started 1924. Should we just say it like it is? It is a terrorist organization.
It should be designated as a terrorist organization. It has been designated as a terrorist organization by many countries. And I think this is a very big mistake by the Trump administration that we're currently watching, that they put in place a procedure to determine whether certain branches of the Muslim Brotherhood should be designated as terror organizations over the next 75 or 90 days.
It's kind of like it's kind of like looking at the Nazi Party and saying, well, the Einsatzgruppen were really bad, but the brown shirts were not sure yet. Shalom, everybody. There is something going on in the Middle East. No, really, Olivier? There's something going on in the Middle East? Yes, there's something going on in the Middle East that you are not aware of. It's about to happen. The stage is being set right now. It's about to happen this coming in the next few days. And as you see this video, it'll be happening actually. And you need to know about it because it is pretty significant. This was brought to my attention by my good friend, and you see him on the screen right now, John Holler. Hi, John.
Hi.
So, John, thank you for bringing that up to my attention. I looked at the speakers and this whole thing. We need to unpack this a little bit because to be honest with you, had you not brought that to my attention like you did, I might have missed it until I was on the other side of it, and maybe even missed it altogether. But it seems pretty significant. So we're going to unpack this in the next few minutes on this podcast. First of all, John, as always, where can people find you?
Fellowship Bible Chapel on YouTube, also at Real FBC on Rumble, and then my social media. Usually like X and Getter or John Haller 54 or John Haller 1954 and Telegram. Okay. I don't post as much on Telegram as I do other places.
All right. And for us, of course, shalomandmessiah.com is our website, shalomandmessiah.com. You can scan the QR code that you see on the screen if you want to connect with us, if you want to donate to our ministry, and also follow us on Telegram, on Instagram, X, Facebook. We post everywhere. And of course, many videos on the YouTube channel. So you do want to subscribe. If you're visiting that one right now regularly or for the first time, please consider subscribing. It really helps us get more exposure and reach more people with the truth, which is becoming a rarity these days. So we want to continue doing that. So thank you for watching. So John, something is taking place or going to take place in Doha. Tell us where that is and tell us what you found out.
Well, Doha is a little spit of sand in the Persian Gulf. It is extremely wealthy. The Qataris make a lot of money. My understanding is that each individual Qatari receives a payment each year of at least $2 million. There are about 300,000 of them. But if you consider the number of them that are 300,000, and then you look at, for example, a picture of the Doha waterfront, it looks like Lower Manhattan with big tall buildings and that sort of thing around. So they have a very outsized influence. The largest U.S. military base in the Middle East is in Doha, in Qatar, Doha being the capital. It's just outside Doha. But the Qataris have been very clever in that they bring people in to do all the dirty work for them. They had the World Cup a few years ago, and during the World Cup, there's a lot of allegations of bribery and sort of shoddy construction practices that led to a lot of the deaths of foreign workers. I'm not sure what the number is, but it was a significant number were killed in the construction of the stadiums for the World Cup. And again, it's not that big of a country. It would not exist without the U.S. Air Base there. But the Qataris have been extremely active in funding Muslim Brotherhood propaganda. They've been funding various universities. For example, I think it's one of the D.C. universities, Georgetown, I believe, has a branch in Qatar. They receive a lot of money from Qatar, as does
Colombia
Harvard,
also gets money from Qatar.
Columbia, Harvard, all of these things. And in fact, the the narrative on the right now is, well, we give so much money to Israel and AIPAC controls all of our congressmen, but the amount of money that Qatar flows through our government and educational institutions dwarfs anything that might be related to Israel.
That's a good point.
And they do not get that much. In fact, I believe that of the PACs in the United States, political action committees contributions, I don't know where the Qataris are, but AIPAC ranks like 199th. And everybody thinks that they control the world. And I just saw a picture of a billboard somebody had posted on their timeline, I think on Facebook, that yeah, you can't pay your medical bills, but we send money to Israel. But the money that we send to Israel, look, it's not inconsequential. It's in the billions of dollars. But if you compare it to our national debt, it's not even 1/100% of our national debt. It's below that. It's an incredibly small amount of money. But again, the narrative and the blood libel that the Jews control everything is
Right.
out there.
Right.
So, but the Qataris, they fund propaganda networks. There are a lot of allegations. I'm not sure that they're rock solid. There has been some Qatari money flowing through Tucker Carlson, at least to do an interview of a Qatari individual. I think he was paid for that well into six figures. But they fund a lot of organizations. So they fund Al Jazeera is totally funded by the Qataris. That's a Muslim Brotherhood media outlet. It is an extreme example of Muslim propaganda.
Right. Now, when we say Muslim Brotherhood, because the Muslim Brotherhood got started 1924, 1928, I forgot.
Yeah, about 1928.
Yeah, 1928. So it got started in 1928, and should we just say it like it is? It is a terrorist organization.
It should be designated as a terrorist organization. It has been designated as a terrorist organization by many countries. And I think this is a very big mistake by the Trump administration that we're currently watching, that they put in place a procedure to determine whether certain branches of the Muslim Brotherhood should be designated as terror organizations over the next 75 or 90 days.
It's kind of like it's kind of like looking at the Nazi Party and saying, well, the Einsatzgruppen were really bad, but the brown shirts were not sure yet.
Right. That's sort of the length that you would go. And they've funded a lot of things. There was a Holy Land Foundation trial many years ago where they produced a document very well. I mean, you can find it out there on the internet pretty easily, that the Muslim Brotherhood was behind a lot of terror attacks and that sort of thing. There are two main terror or Muslim Brotherhood outlets. For a while, of course, the Muslim Brotherhood ran Egypt for about a year. That revolution took place back, about 2013 or 2014 during the Obama administration, until al-Sisi came in and overthrew that government. The guy, what was the guy's name? Morsi, I think, was the head of Egypt during the Muslim Brotherhood days. Mohammed Morsi. Yeah.
Mohammed Morsi, yeah.
I think he actually was in trial, I think, and had a heart attack and died. Or maybe I've got him confused with Mubarak. One of those guys. It's hard to keep your dictator straight sometimes. You need I started making up a little deck of playing cards of dictators
Right,
and
right.
terrorists and that type
Dictator
of thing.
cards like baseball cards, or
That's right, right. So, I mean, Israel did that for a while. Remember, they used to have those playing
the
cards of
rabbis.
people that they wanted to, no, the playing cards of people they wanted to take out.
Okay, because
But
they've got the Chabad rabbis, and they've got cards like that. They exist.
okay.
They've got, yes, but anyway,
Somehow I didn't see any of those when we were we were at some Chabad places on our trip. But
so Doha is this place in Qatar, and so you sent me this information earlier today, and there is a list of invitees or participants, I should say, and it's a long list, and
yeah, so let me back up 1 second. So understand, it seems like everybody in the world has a big conference now. And this is the way the world is, that they have these conferences. They're almost all live streamed. They're almost all on YouTube. And so for us in the Bible prophecy community, it's a very much of a great resource to go and watch these videos if you can stand listening to these people. But there are a number of very large conferences in the world. So I would say in the top five, there would be, of course, the World Economic Forum
in
in
Davos.
Davos. And I've also heard that it might be in Riyadh. I'm not sure that that's true, but Davos World Economic Forum, the World Governments Summit in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates. And by the way, United Arab Emirates is very similar to Qatar in that there's only 300,000 ethnic Qataris. There's only about 1 million ethnic Emiratis. But they have that big city of Dubai, which is a city of 4 million people, with all those massive buildings and resorts and fancy hotels and all this indoor ski parks and, I mean, snow ski parks. So you got World Government Summit. It used to be called the World Government Summit until they got a little pushback, I think, from people in the prophecy community. Was like, that's just a little bit too obvious, guys, that you're trying to control everything. So they call it World Government Summit now. There's the FII Institute, which comes out of Financial Investment Initiative Institute out of Saudi Arabia. There's the St. Petersburg Economic Forum. There's also one in Bahrain called the Manama Dialogues. It's not as important, but then the other one would be the Doha Forum in Qatar.
And the Doha Forum, is this not the first one?
I think this is probably 5 or 6 at least.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what makes this one different?
Well, that's an interesting question. I guess the question would be, why is this? Why are we talking about Bible prophecy now? Why is it different now? And the difference is that Israel is there, and Israel's at war, with its Islamic neighbors on at least 8 fronts. And these are Muslim Brotherhood funded organizations. The money that flowed to Qatar or flowed through to Hamas in the millions of dollars each month came from Qatar. Israel had it released from Qatar to Hamas. And we could talk about whether that was, in hindsight, clearly that was not a wise thing to do. The Hamas did not do a very good thing with it. But a lot of this is to mainstream the Islamic Muslim Brotherhood. And they do it through this, it's big, beautiful buildings, it's oil money. They have media outlets. They fund media all over the world. They fund X accounts. And so how bad could the Muslim Brotherhood be? And the answer is, if you look at the Holy Land Foundation, Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist organization. There's just no doubt about it. And I'm not sure why our government has never designated them as such, and continues even in light of everything to do that. But they have a lot of money. They're influential, and they've spread billions and billions of dollars around our educational institutions. So if you sort of want to know who the globalists are, who the Muslim Brotherhood views as effective organizations to advance their cause of a global caliphate.
Didn't the Muslim Brotherhood start Hamas in 1985?
Sure they did.
Yeah. And then, who is behind the Muslim Student Association of all the colleges and universities? The Muslim Brotherhood.
That's correct. And it's funded largely by Qatar. They have two main governments. They have now that Egypt went away, the Qatari government, of course, and Turkey. And so when you look at what they're doing at this conference, they're bringing everybody together in a World Economic Forum dialogue type conference. It'll be very slickly produced. It'll be, sort of like when we do a Bible prophecy conference. This will be a lot slicker production values than anything we're ever able to do because they have a lot of money behind it.
The green room for the speakers will have more snacks?
It may, yeah. It may.
So I looked at the list, and Al Jolani's there.
Yeah. So on the speaker list, so we can go through the speaker list. You have Al Shara of Egypt. You have Donald Trump Jr., who is a partner in a thing called 1789 Capital, which is kind of interesting. Omik. I can't remember the guy's name. He's one of the guys who's behind the Tucker Carlson network. He's the president of 1789 Capital, which sort of shows itself where we're funding the next era of American exceptionalism. But it's got this guy associated with Qatar behind it, and then of course the Trump organization is working on a big resort worth close to $1 billion in Qatar. And then, of course,
Turkey's going to be there.
Qatar gave us the big plane, the big 747. That was a probably $400 million at least gift. Do you think that I saw a very good graphic. I'll use it in my updates my next update. And I don't know if I sent it to you or not. It's a Qatari jet with a Trojan horse on the front end.
If I was the American government, if I was the U.S. government, and I was given a gift like this by Qatar, I would not trust it. I would disassemble the whole thing. I would not trust it.
Right. So, Qatar is very much involved with Hamas. If you remember when Hania was taken out in Tehran, he was the political leader of Hamas. They took him out in some kind. I don't know if it was some kind of assassination.
You're talking about Ismail Haniyeh.
Yep.
Okay.
Ismail Haniyeh. Okay. And his funeral took place at the Grand Mosque in Doha, Qatar. That's where he's buried.
Okay.
And there at his funeral, there in the front row, was the Emir of Qatar.
Now, wasn't Qatar also, or maybe even continues to do so, sending money? And I think I got that recently from a program I watched that you sent me, sending money to Hamas on a monthly basis?
Yeah, over the last number of years, after Hamas was elected to be the head of the government
and that's going back to 2006.
Yeah, 2006 in Gaza. They need money, and there's tax money and everything. And so I think the Israeli government made the decision then that they would allow money to go to Hamas because, well, it would be a counterweight to the Palestinian Authority, which we don't like, which they didn't like either. And so Hamas took that and built this enormous terror base. I don't think we understand. HonestReporting.com is a very good website that evaluates media assertions made about Israel and that sort of thing.
That one and Memory, they're both very good.
Right. And they have a new graphic series up on the tunnels in Gaza. And it'd be interesting. What somebody needs to do is take the tunnels in Gaza, which they now say could be 900 miles, not 300 miles, 900 miles, and put the buildings that have been destroyed sort of on top of where the tunnels are. And I think you're going to find a very close coordination. But some of the Israeli military people that I've talked to have been concerned about what happened before October 7th. They were funding Hamas because they figured they could control it.
They being Qatar.
Well, Israel allowed the money to flow from Qatar to Hamas.
Right.
They probably could have shut it down, but they did not. And so Qatar found this is a great way for us to build a Muslim Brotherhood terror base in Gaza, right on the border of Israel. And I don't understand why not more is made of this. And you wonder, I mean, are all these people being paid by Qatar? Or are they just stupid enough to believe the nonsense that Qatar wants them to spew? So look at the list. You have al-Shara from Syria, and his revolution took place almost exactly a year ago. I think the final fall of Damascus was December 8th of 2024. So we're just about to the first anniversary of that. It went in like 8 days. And that was a Turkey-funded, led operation. Turkey minded their business for years to allow these terror groups to kind of get their act together. And then in 8 days, they took over Syria.
Turkey's going to be there too, by the way.
Turkey's there. There's participants from Turkey. The foreign minister of Turkey will be there. The European Commission, High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Donald Trump Jr., al-Shara, Hakan Fidan, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Hillary Clinton,
yeah,
will be there. I mean, it's like a who's who of all these different people. Mary Robinson, the former president of Ireland. I mean, that's and a lot of people we would consider to be very bad people.
And also
the president of the World Economic Forum will be there.
Yeah, and I forgot her name, but I noticed she was going to be there too. The special rapporteur from the UN nation for the Palestinian territories. What's her name? The
special witch of the UN. No, I mean Francesca Albanese. You wanted to say that. I just thought I would help you along. Albanese.
Francesca Albanese will be there, and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, he's not on the speaker list right now, but
I saw him.
Oh, did you really? Okay, I didn't.
On page 3.
Oh, he's on page 3. Okay,
yes.
Recently added.
He's on page 3. So no, he's there.
Oh, that's sort of where I get on the.
So is Christian Amanpour.
Right, Christian Amanpour, the CNN foreign correspondent. By the way, she was said yesterday. By the way, I had to come to America recently, and I'm not a U.S. citizen. And given the environment in America right now, I was more scared to come to America than I would be if I was going to North Korea.
Well, then she should stay where she was. I
think we could do a GoFundMe and we could get her a ticket to North Korea.
It wouldn't take much. Ticket. Yeah, it wouldn't take much. Now, so what do you think they're going to try to accomplish in this in this meeting? That's largely going unnoticed right now.
Well, I mean, it's similar to what they do at the World Economic Forum. They talk about things that might be interesting to business people and development of business and that sort of thing. But I believe it's a design to pull the wool over everybody's eyes, to normalize the Muslim Brotherhood.
Okay, so that was my next question. So this is basically normalizing, vindicating, and giving exposure to the Muslim Brotherhood, and basically, normalizing it, so people are not going to think. So it's going to make it more difficult after that to categorize them as a terrorist organization, and maybe that's the plan.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the sort of and it's to normalize too, with respect to Israel, what's going on in Gaza, because who are the two big partners in the Gaza peace plan, or whatever this thing is that Trump calls it? It's not a peace plan. It's not an agreement. Hamas has never agreed to anything. But the two big partners to enforce the peace are to be Qatar and Turkey. And how does anybody think that that's really going to go?
Well, and I just want to, I want to read something to our audience
Oh, by the
because
way, Bill Gates will be there also, just in case.
I was gonna
Yeah.
mention that the where is it? I'm looking for the charter of the Muslim Brotherhood when they have this quick 5 line. I'm looking for it and I can't find it. Of course, their motto, by the way of jihad and everything. I can't find it, but the bottom line is, Muslim Brotherhood is their purpose is to Islamicize or Islamize, whatever the word is, the whole planet and make it into a caliphate and subjugate all infidels under Sharia law, basically.
And what they do is they fund organizations like this to further their agenda. For example, if you talk to people in Jerusalem, you'll find that Turkey's funding a lot of groups and people in the Jerusalem area because they want to keep their finger in the Jerusalem pie, so to speak. And I've even had people tell me there when they encounter Turks, a lot of times the Turks will specifically tell them, we're coming back to take back what's ours.
Well, that's the Muslim mentality anyway. That's in the ideology of Islam.
Right.
So
And that's that. And so when you see Erdogan pushing different things, by the way, his son seems to be coming to prominence all of a sudden, and he does speak English, which is interesting. But Erdogan, his goal is not to reestablish the Ottoman Empire. His goal is to establish a global Islamic caliphate. And so when you see inroads of things happening in America, particularly down in Texas, in your area,
I know.
I had meetings with people while I was down there for that conference in
Yeah.
September,
Yeah.
and it's absolutely shocking what's going on in parts of the Dallas Fort Worth area. And then I think Andy Woods even said that the same thing was happening down in Houston.
It's bad in Houston. It's been bad for longer.
Right. And so, we have that problem. And, we have a huge Somalian population here in Columbus area. There's an even bigger one in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And so what you see happening in places like the United Kingdom, we're on track for that. And the closing speed for us to get to where the United Kingdom is will be a very short period of time,
And
unless things change.
personally, I'm keeping an eye on Mamdani because I think he's going to be the catalyst to a lot more of the same happening very quickly. He's not going to be able to do a whole lot as a mayor, but he is going to be able to do enough damage ideologically, and he's going to play all the cards he can play that he'll be able to play in America. The multiculturalism and social justice and tolerance and all that nonsense that has gotten the radicals, the Muslims, radical Muslims to get to where they are right now. But I am telling you what, Mamdani is. I know it's a different subject, but it's connected. This taking over of the whole world by radical Islam. I just read that Mamdani he's putting a team together, and one of the women he put on this team, her name escapes me right now. She's one of those.
She a rabbi?
No. She's
Okay.
no, but maybe there's another one that he's adding people to his team, but he's adding people that are very anti-Israel, and we haven't seen the worst of him. It's I fear that a lot's going to happen first of the year in the New York area, and that's going to be the catalyst for more of those characters to pop up in all over the U.S. Because the thing that we've seen or that we have not seen over the years, over the last couple of decades, is the stealth jihad that the Muslim Brotherhood and other radical Islam players have worked with. They infiltrate the government. And they're getting bolder and bolder. You should hear. And I'm sure you heard. recently Ilan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, the way they speak about we're here to stay, just watch. I mean, they're getting very cocky.
Yeah, and there was a conference in Detroit not too long, in Michigan. I think it was in Detroit not too long ago about the pro-Palestinian conference. There was one just last weekend in
Tlaib was there, wasn't
the
she?
Chicago area, Palestine Conference, I think it was
I
called.
think Tlaib was speaking there.
Yeah, and so you know, and so all these things are connected, and they all have this funding coming from big oil-rich countries like Qatar. Qatar is sort of like the big piggy bank for the
Right.
Muslim Brotherhood. But I mean, look at some of the people that are on the partner list, content partners. You have the Atlantic Council, which is a globalist organization. And I'll tell you what, I'll just read off the names. And if I come to one that's not globalist or one that we should not like or one that we should be paying attention to because they're into very bad things, Chatham House out of the UK, the Gates Foundation. By the way, and the Gates Foundation, when you click on them, what comes up immediately is the wheel of the Sustainable Development Goals. So, I mean, so this is all very connected. You have the Astana International Forum, which comes out of Kazakhstan. It's a big, Central Asian Muslim Republic forum that takes place. You have International Crisis Group. You have the Qatar Foundation. You have, and the list goes on and on. Here's one, Doha debates, because that acts like the Muslim Brotherhood wants to have a debate about things. It's just a ruse to fool people. And then here's one we might have heard of. It seems to still be hanging around, the Clinton Global Initiative.
Oh,
is a what's it called? A participating partner in this thing. And then, of course, the media partners.
do you think
are,
if Epstein was alive, he'd be there?
it might be called the Epstein, the Doha/Epstein Forum. I don't know. I don't know. This is also very weird to even talk about. So the big media partners, there's AA, the Anadolu, the Turkish organization TRT, CNN, Foreign Policy, and Al Jazeera. And
Yeah, Al
Euronews.
Jazeera, CNN, and MSNBC is always, as well, or MS now as they call it.
Yeah.
So how does that?
The Oslo Forum, that's interesting too.
Yeah, and the World Economic Forum is there too.
Yep.
So this is a conglomerate of organizations and important people. I mean, but I mean Eric Trump. I mean, whereas
Donald Trump Jr.
No, I know. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, not Eric Trump. Donald Trump Jr. How it bothers me right now. Lately, I've been really troubled by a lot of the decisions that Trump is making as far as the Middle East is concerned. And I don't even know what to think anymore, John. Trump is a big friend of Israel. You got the embassy the embassy set up in Jerusalem. Recognizing this, recognizing that. Best friend of Bibi, but he's making he's like looking into the Muslim Brotherhood, but he's not even mentioning that Qatar is involved in the Muslim Brotherhood. He's ignoring that country when he's making a list of countries involved in. It's too obvious.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't like the fact that Qatar and Turkey are being pushed forward as possible partners for peace in Gaza. That's not going to work.
Well, first of all, the peace is not going to work in Gaza, period. But if you want to try to do something, those are not the countries that you want to think of bringing to even consider peace. But even if you try to bring peacemakers, Hamas is not interested in peace. We know that.
That's right. That's right. So it's a big problem, and it's hard for me to tell sometimes what the Israeli government really wants to have happen. It doesn't make any sense to me, and there's a big push for it. I mean, Trump came out and announced the Trump International Board of Peace. It's going to be 10 nations. And I'm not making this up, it's 10 nations. And the executive board is going to include Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and Tony Blair.
Well, we need to follow this. We'll keep an eye on this. We need to wrap this up, but the bottom line is things are about to change. And you know what I really like about you and I, John, is that it is no secret to most people watching us. You and I don't see eye to eye on some events in the end times, but we see eye to eye on 99.9% of the rest of the Bible. You and I are on the same page on the truth of the Bible, and certainly on the same page when it comes to Israel and the importance of Israel in the end times, and the importance of Israel in God's plan, and how important it should be to Christians. But I think things are about to change here, and two things are going to happen. One of two things is going to happen. You're either going to be right and we're going to enter into the tribulation, or I'm going to be right and we're going to be raptured. But it really doesn't matter one or the other when it comes to what's coming next, because friends, things are going to get more and more difficult, and we're either going to be going through a very difficult time in the tribulation. I personally don't believe that. And I believe that I'll be raptured. And then you, John, believe that we are going to go through some of the tribulation. And you know, I don't have to say it publicly, but I'll say it again. I do respect you, and you're a dear friend, and we can disagree on that. But the reality is, regardless of what's happening next, Christians need to get serious. And those who do not know Jesus also need to get serious. And right now, people, especially Christians, need to make a choice. Where do you stand on the issue of Israel? And that's going to be a big make a big deal, because where you stand on Israel is when you stand on a relationship with God. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting time. I heard somebody the other day, I think I mentioned this to you when we were talking beforehand. I think it was Todd Hampson. I thought he made a very good point that we sort of live in this tension of a sort of a paradox here in the end times, that we see these things happening and we know where they end up, but then they're not good things. So do we try to be, I think, as Todd used the term, be salt and light to kind of slow it down, or do the best we can in light of it in the event that our timeline is maybe a little bit off? It's a very difficult time to live, to know what to do. I mean, you could just give up and say it's going to happen. I'm not going to be able to change anything. But then we also have the responsibility to occupy till he comes. And that doesn't mean sit on your couch.
No, and the responsibility to fulfill the great commissions of Matthew 28:18 through 20, of making disciples of all nations, you know, Jews and non-Jews. And so that is a responsibility we have as believers. And well, I mean, there's a lot more we can discuss on this, but I'm curious to see what's going to come out of it. But thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Sure.
And I'll link. Is there a website to it, or is it the same as what you sent me?
If you just Google Doha Forum, it's dohaforum.org.
Okay, so
it's a pretty slick website. They'll have the whole agenda there. I think I forget what their theme is this year, something about justice. You know,
how come you were not invited? How come you're not going?
I don't know. I'm not going to Davos either, you know, and
who knows?
You know, maybe I'll make a deal of it if they get a nice golf course in
oh, there
Doha.
You go.
Then I'll probably start pushing to go.
So it's so easy to get you anywhere, John. As long as I tell you there'll be a nice golf course, then you're on your way, right?
That's right.
Well, that's good to know. Well, John, thank you for taking the time today. We'll talk again very soon. Probably we'll talk before Christmas, but if we don't, you have a good holiday season. Friends, thanks for watching. Keep an eye in the sky, keep an eye in your Bible, and be ready for the return of the Messiah. Thanks for watching. Shalom, and be blessed.